Hello and welcome back to Boyd's Blue Alpine Freeze Drying channel. Today I'm going to try something a little different. We bought a meatloaf from Costco the other day, a little meatloaf dinner that has potatoes and meatloaf, and my wife wants to try freeze drying the meat and the potatoes and then see what it's going to take to rehydrate it, because she would like to maybe buy a few of them and just freeze dry a whole bunch of the meatloaf dinners for future, since she thinks that would be a really good meal to freeze dry. She just wants to be able to do the whole meal at once and just rehydrate the whole meal on a plate in the oven and try that. So I'm going to try with that. I'm going to also do some canned corn, since I've got a whole bunch of the corn. I'm just freeze drying them. The only reason I'm putting them in these silicone molds is I've found that it makes it really easy for portion sizes. I can kind of like use these as a portion size. So instead of just using the whole meatloaf on a tray and then having to cut it, either put it on slices or whatever, just to make it easier to figure out bagging it. Because I think I'm going to try to bag it in the Mylar bags as separate pieces. So I'm going to try to maybe put the meat in the bottom of a Mylar bag, do a heat seal across it, and after putting the meat at the bottom, then seal it off, put the potatoes on top of that, and then the corn on top of that, so the entire meal would be in one of my 1 gallon size Mylar bags. And by doing it that way, I would then be able to just open up the Mylar bag, have the entire dinner in that bag, put it on a tray, rehydrate it in the oven. And the method of rehydrating it, her plan is to basically steam it in the oven. Okay, so this is the meatloaf going into the freezer. I've got the potatoes behind it, and then underneath that is I've got the trays of corn. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in there. Alright, so I've edited the settings on this, but I'm going to go ahead and use the meat settings, which I've edited. I originally had 22.5 hours and 6.5 hours freeze time, and the temperature was 130. I dropped it to 125, and I increased the mTOR on the original settings up to 900. So I'm going to be at these settings, so 26.5 hours, which will be tomorrow evening about 5 o'clock. So let's hit continue and ensure the door is closed and tight, and shut my valve, which I generally leave my valve open when I'm not using it, because that way air can flow into the dry out any moisture that might be in the freeze dryer. I leave the door cracked open, and I'm open that way air can flow through it. I don't get any moisture that might be trapped in the hose that could turn into fungus or mold or anything. So I just leave that open so air can flow freely through it when it's not being used. So that's why I always double check it when I close this, because I might leave it open if I forget that I had left it open from the last use. So that's why it's important to check it each time. Alright, this is the meatloaf meatloaf dinner that I started yesterday. Everything is dry, so the food is now dry. The potatoes are good, the meatloaf's good. I'm going to weigh it, so I've got the dry weight, and then I will package these up. Right, so my plan for this is to put all of the meat, put the meatloaf slices in the bottom of this bag, and then I'm going to seal that off with an oxygen absorber. And then I'm going to add the potatoes to another layer and seal that one off with the heat heat sealer, so that I've got a second layer, and then put the corn in the top layer and then seal that one off. So with any luck, I'll have the entire meatloaf meal in three separate pockets here. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that out and seal that one off here. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. So I've got that one sealed. So I have a nice seal in there. Let's see if I can fit my potatoes in the next layer. So, and then hopefully, by doing it this way, oh, that didn't seal properly. Let me try it again. Alright. Drop in the potatoes. Put that in there. More than enough corn for 2 people. As you can see, I just packaged the meatloaf in the bottom, the potatoes in the middle, and the corn on top, and seal off each one separately. And when we're done, we'll just take them out. They'll still be separate, but they're all sealed into one bag. I'll seal this bag here, and that'll be our meatloaf dinner. So when we're ready to eat it, we just have to open the sides, get our meatloaf, our potatoes. So we'll reheat using steam in the oven. And so thank you very much for coming to my channel. I'm gonna label this, and I'll test it out in the next week or two, maybe. Probably put another video out when I actually cook this to show how we did it and see if it works.